which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all, and good evening. If Chuck Mower does not make it, he is excused this evening. I'd like to say welcome. You'll notice on the agenda there are no minutes. We're going to do the minutes for last week and tonight, next Tuesday night on the 9th of February. And I would also like to thank you all for not seeing your shadow this morning. That means that budget season is over halfway done. And with that, we are going to go into warrant article reviews, and Matt Chevenel has an announcement to make first.
Stan, were you going to get Carol on the phone?
Oh, yes. I got to get Carol on the phone. Thank you very much. Hit that. 991 321.
Hello?
Hi, Carol. It's Stan. We are at the Budget Committee meeting, and I need to ask you those funny legal questions. Where are you this evening?
Still in Satellite Beach, Florida.
And are you with anybody?
Nope, not except for the cat.
Ginger the cat's attending another Budget Committee meeting.
Yes, she's right over my shoulder.
Well, she will give you good guidance and direction.
Yeah.
We're starting off with Matt Chevenel has an announcement to make. Then we're going to be going into the warrant article reviews, and then we'll do the work session on the operating budget. Matt, take it away.
Thank you very much. This was announced at the board meeting last evening. It's pertaining to the bid openings that we had last Friday. I don't recall if I had mentioned to the Budget Committee specifically.
Excuse me, just so that the throngs of people watching at home know what you're talking about. What bid opening for what?
Okay, yeah. Let me get a little more descriptive. This is pertaining to the bid opening we had for the middle school roof project. When we put the specifications together, we had the bidders bid it as one project, the entire roof. We had them give us a price for the section that we say we're going to be doing according to the CIP this year, which is around 3/4 of the roof. And then we had them give us a price for just the remainder of the roof after the 3/4 is done. After reviewing all the bids, we have a bid from a very reputable roofing contractor that is pre-qualified by the manufacturer of the roofing material that allows us to do the entire roof this year without any increase to the budget. So that's what we thought. So the $1,139,750 that's in the budget in the maintenance area, that amount will do the entire roof. This is something we kind of hoped may happen. That's why we put it out there in the fashion that we did. And we were fortunate that one participant in the process came forward. And last night this information was presented to the school board, and they voted unanimously to go forward with that amount in the budget and to do the entire middle school roof in the 2016-2017 proposed budget. So that's the announcement I have.
And this saves us how much for the following year's budget?
Well, for the following year, it's around $487,000 that we'd have to perhaps spend. See, the thing is, when you're doing, everybody knows, when you're doing a job of this magnitude, you have a set of general conditions. You know, you have to get a job trailer, you have to put up staging for safety, you have to get toilet facilities, you have to get communication facilities. It's all these things coming together. So when they came to the job to look it over, they made the determination that it would behoove them to do it all at once and to get it done during the summertime, which they've assured us they can do, and they priced it accordingly. In addition, another piece of information, this roof now has a 40-year lifetime warranty, so I will never be talking about this roof to you again. Someone else will be.
And that's a non-prorated warranty.
Non-prorated warranty, yeah. Anything happens to it, they come and they take care of it. So for the next 40 years, you can rest assured that the middle school is in good hands with this roof. So,
Thank you. Does anybody have any comments on or questions about this great news on the roof? Kevin Bobbitt.
So you've got multiple bids back. Were the other ones close, or was this?
The other one was probably, we would need to raise an extra $300,000 to do the entire roof. That was the next closest, and they went up from there to another $600,000. There's a little bit of volatility in the bids, so.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Dan?
Yes, Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that, originally I had hoped that given the reduced oil and petroleum prices that something like this might happen, but, I really wasn't sure, so I just really appreciate all the hard work both from Matt and the school board and, everyone involved, probably people that I don't even know that were probably involved. But I really appreciate it because I was very concerned about doing this roof in parts when I heard Tom last week say he hoped it would last. He didn't say he was confident it would last or something. So I was very concerned, and now that we can do it and still stay within budget, I am very appreciative.
All set, Carol?
Yep.
David Ilg.
Did they give a price for doing 3/4 of the roof?
Yes, the price was $843,500, so it would save $296,000 approximate if you wanted to just do 3/4 of the roof.
Okay, and you said it was $478 for the other
For
quarter?
next year, yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
For next year, it was, I think we had in the capital improvement plan around $487,000. The budgeted amount is $1,139,750. Yep.
Okay, seeing no other hands, we're going to go to the warrant article reviews, and then after that, we'll be going to the work session. And as you know, we vote on all moneyed warrant articles for the school district. Matt?
Okay, the first article that you have for your consideration is Article 3. It is an agreement between the school board and the Merrimack Teachers Association. If you want me to read it word for word, I can do that. If not, I can just describe what it is. It's up to you.
We all have a piece of paper here, but the people at home do not, so I would ask that you give a detailed summary.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just go through it because it's not that lengthy. Shall the district approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the school board and the Merrimack Teachers Association, which calls for the following changes in salary and benefits at the current staffing levels over the amount paid in the prior fiscal year. Basically, this is a 3-year contract. In year 1, 2016-2017, we'd raise and appropriate $750,714, In 17-18, we'd raised $742,000, $335, and then in 18-19, we would raise $764,605. So it goes forward to obviously raise and appropriate the first year. For the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at the current staffing levels. It's a majority vote required for it to pass, and as I said, it's a 3-year contract. It maintains the 85-15% contribution towards the HMO. It does increase the amount of the buyout from $1,500 to $3,000, so it's our hopes that that would incentivize more people to go on their spouse's insurance as opposed to taking ours. If we have around 4 to 5 people do that, it would definitely be of benefit to us. And it's a 3% per year increase, and there is a provision in the contract, as we know it now, that allows us to offer other plans to the district as far as health insurance. We can have the ability to offer other plans that would cost the employee less and cost the district less, so that would be a cost savings. I haven't quantified those in the creation of the warrant article, the increase in buyout, how that's going to affect everything, and the addition of the new plans that we may offer during the course of the contract, because that's kind of a soft target to hit. So I've just done the 3% with all the associated FICA and New Hampshire retirement benefits, added in the staff development that was in there for $30,000 for graduate studies, and came up with a bottom line of $750, $714 for the first year.
And then in years 2 and 3, those items would be in the general operating budget. They wouldn't be on a separate warrant article.
That's correct, because when you vote on the contract, you're voting on all 3 years, and many of you probably heard a term called Sanbornizing. It's from the town of Sanborn. Basically, it was a law a number of years ago that when you have a labor contract, you want to vote for it on all 3 years, so you don't have to come back to the voters. So this amount, if approved by the voters, would be voted in for 3 years, and then the following years would go on the default budget as a contractual obligation. So that's Article 3 in a nutshell.
Any questions on Article 3? Kevin Bobbitt.
So it goes from 750 to 742 and 764. Why the differences?
Yeah,
because this is based on current staffing, no assumptions
Correct.
in changes. That may change, and obviously that number would then change.
Yeah. The first year is higher than the second year because the first year includes the $30,000 increase in the staff development.
Okay.
That's the delta
okay.
that we have to raise, so that gives you a little bounce in the first year. Year 1 to year 2, it's already incorporated in the operating budget, so I don't have to raise it again.
Okay. But then we're back up to 764 in year 3, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So, and why is that?
That's just the 3% off of the
Okay.
base salary of...
Okay. 3%.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Jordan.
Can you speak to the current contract or the last time that there was an increase? Can you give a little bit of historical perspective as to, you said that this is a 3% increase, obviously, for the next 3 years, but, where are we today? How did we get here? What's happened in the past?
Well, the last contract was, I believe, a 2.99% increase, so it was close to the 3. It was a 3-year contract. The Merrimack Teachers Association made a health care cost concession down from $87.13 to $85.15, where we currently rest today. that was basically the highlights of the contract that we're currently working in right now. This one going forward, there's no increase in the amount that they're going to participate in the health care plan, but we also have something now that we didn't have back then, which is the opportunities to go and just offer a potpourri of selections. And hopefully a lot of people will find that attractive, younger people, single people that don't have health issues that are looking for, excuse me, a higher deductible plan that'll want to be drawn to that because they're going to be paying less out of pocket if they maintain their health, and therefore it'll be less cost to the district as far as the premiums go.
So I guess just to make sure we're on the same page. So is it always a 3-year contract, or
No. In the past, we've had a 2-year. This is interesting. We had a 4-year contract on the language, but only 2 years on the money. So we have to come back in years 3 and 4 and put it up for a vote again, although all the language stayed the same in the contract. But in years past, between the Support Staff Association and the Teachers Association, they have been around in 3 years in duration. So next year, we'd be looking at negotiating for the support staff a contract, and whether or not it's 3 or 2 or whatever. The one thing we try not to do is to have them line up on the same year. That's about it.
And it also saves the district money by only having to negotiate a contract every 3 years,
That's correct.
as opposed to, say, a 1-year contract.
Well, when you have a
You're never
one-year...
going to leave the negotiating table.
Yeah, when you have a 1-year contract, you have to look at how your district is viewed from the outside. And if you've just passed a 3-year contract, it offers those who are going to be in your employ a sense of stability, a sense that your district values its teachers, and something that, a prospective employee would look for. If you go and look at a district that hasn't had a contract in a long time, has had contracts that have failed, has had a series of 1-year contracts, and people do their homework before they sign up, then that's probably not as attractive a place to be. It doesn't offer that stability, and I think that's what people are looking for in an employer as far as that's concerned. So having a 3-year contract is beneficial in a lot of ways to us.
just kind of 2 follow-up questions. Is 3% on par with other communities in New Hampshire? And additionally to that, what's a cost of living? I mean, do you have an idea what the inflation rate is? Or 3% doesn't sound like a lot to me.
Well, it is, in talking with our legal counsel, who's also bargained several contracts out there, the 3% figure is something that's pretty commonplace as far as what's being offered out there to other districts and what they've settled on. Cost of living is less than 2, but that's a moving target. If the oil prices go up to $5 a gallon, what does that do to your cost of living all of a sudden? You're filling up. I remember when I had my truck, my big Ford F-250, and I'd fill it up, and it was $120, and I still was on, 3/4 of a tank. So that has really a lot to do with it. But cost of living is low right now, but this is kind of an average target increase when comparing other districts. And when you look at our salary scale up against surrounding towns, we are a tad on the lower side of all those comparatives, the Bedfords, the Hollis Brooklyns, the Londonderrys, the Nashua even, et cetera. So.
Anyone else? Okay.
Dan?
Yes, Carol.
Okay, a couple of just comments. I don't know a lot of the detail about surrounding school districts, but I do follow various corporate interests to see what's happening with them, and 3% is about on target for what corporations are doing as far as salary increases. So, if you just compare us to other businesses, not specifically to school districts, I think we're in the right ballpark. And the other thing is I'm very pleased to hear the bit in there about that people can opt for the lower cost insurance if that's what they wish, and that saves them money and us money. over the years, I have heard so many young people that don't have children yet comment. In fact, I think a couple of former members of the Budget Committee in the past used to make the comment that, they were comparing to what they were paying for their own insurance. And, basically what it was people that, were either single or if married, that they didn't have children yet or something, and they felt they could make do with the high deductible insurance and save some money. So I think this benefits both the employees, and hopefully the district will save a little bit of money in the bargain at the same time. So I think it's a great deal.
Thank you, Carol. The other thing, Matt, regarding the health insurance, our policy contract now, the school district pays for the HMO, and if you want something, the other offering, you have to pay the total cost difference between what the school district is going to pay for the HMO and what that other policy offers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Okay. We'll move on to the next warrant article.
The next article you have for your consideration is Article 5 on page 2. Basically, we're asking to take $75,000 or 10% of the unencumbered surplus remaining at the end of this year, whichever is less, and transfer that amount to the school district repair capital reserve fund. In the past, that fund has been used to replace the bleachers at the high school, almost $100,000 expenditure there. We've repaired the roadway that goes down to the lower softball field because it was washing away because all the drains in the parking lot empty out in that location. And in the springtime, you could take a kayak down there, and it'd be like Colorado Rapids. It comes out so quickly. So we had to design something in there to lessen the impact of the water and to basically put it underground and repave the roadway. We've used it in the past for, I believe, an emergency when a vehicle has gone down and we hadn't expected it. So it's been utilized in the past. Currently, there's $27,000 in the fund. That's a little bit too low for comfort. So the board chose to put $75,000 in there from surplus, with kind of a couple of comments that maybe this isn't a one-time thing. Maybe this will reoccur next year to build it up to perhaps $200,000 as a target. So that's what this warrant article is about. If there's any questions on that.
Davis, did you want to add anything to that?
I think Matt pretty much captured it. The feeling of the board is exactly what Matt said, that $27,000 just isn't enough. If something unforeseen happens. The reason for this capital reserve fund, just so that everyone at the table is on the same page and everyone at home is on the same page, is we raise X number of dollars every year for a budget. If something catastrophic happens, Hurricane Sandy or Superstorm Sandy comes to mind, where we had several leaks in the Special Services building that needs immediate repair. Well, we don't have it budgeted, enough money budgeted. We have to be able to get it from somewhere, or else it doesn't get repaired. Another example would be when a pipe failed in the SAU office and flooded the entire accounting department, payroll department, and everything else. We dipped into that fund, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, to expedite those repairs. So this is something, it's like having an emergency fund at home if you're doing your own budget in case you have a pipe rupture at your house or something. We need to do the same thing. The other reason that we're looking at increasing it to around a $200,000 level is that, God forbid, something should happen with our servers. The district is going more electronic and more technology-driven now. If a server fails, and I hope it doesn't, this is a way that we would be able to expedite those repairs as well. So that's what the thought is. we'd like to get as much in there as possible, as quickly as possible. However, we understand that we have to be frugal about it as well, if you will. That's why we're taking a little bit, $75,000 this year, another 75 or 100 next year. It is what the intention of the board is.
Jordan?
This says that it's surplus funds. I'm sorry, I got it. So it would be 75,000 if there are no surplus funds?
No, only if there are surplus funds will we be able to collect any money. And what the caveat is 75,000 or 10%, whichever is less.
So are we operating on the presumption that there's going to be, there traditionally is some surplus at the end?
Traditionally, there's been at least $1 million.
Oh, there's been, we've been a low of $1 million, and because of the health insurance reimbursement checks that were unanticipated, that were in the millions of dollars, our surpluses the last few years have been a little bit artificially inflated. But we're anticipating a surplus of perhaps maybe in the $2 million range out of a $72 million budget. But the minimum surplus you would need to fund this would be $750,000. So if you don't have $750,000, if you have $700,000, then what goes in the fund? 10%, because it's less. So you'd be funding $70,000 in there.
And also keep in mind, this is coming out of this current year's budget. Any other questions on this warrant article?
Dan?
Yes, Carol?
Yeah, Matt, can you give us a little historical perspective? I know we've only had this fund for a few years, so can you give us a little historical perspective on what the balance year to year has been recently?
Well, we had a high of around maybe $127,000. That was the high. And then we had, a couple of years ago, the high school bleachers come along that we had to replace. It depleted it. So it's never been higher than that. It started out at around $50,000. Then we added another 50, and then I believe another 50 after that when we dissolved some funds in other areas. So it's something such that it hasn't been higher than 150, but we kind of see the need to keep it around the $200,000 mark because of what Davis said. It's not going to cover just buildings, but any electronics we have, and we have right now with over 1,400 computers in the district. We have some serious bandwidth and some serious equipment to get that out and push it out to the schools. So there's a lot of money tied up in a closet that I will not tell you the undisclosed location of this evening in the high school. So
Didn't the fund also take a hit? I know we got some insurance money, but from Superstorm Sandy, didn't we take some money from it for that, too?
yes, we did. There was some stuff that wasn't covered by the storm that we wanted to take care of while the roof was off the building. It behooved us to make some upgrades or some code upgrades, so that's what we did.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding this warrant article? And the last warrant article that deals with money is the operating budget. And as it stands right now, the operating budget is $72,283,299. And the default budget is $71,466,384. And on the operating budget, we're going to be doing the work session momentarily, and that number, the bigger number, is the one that we can affect. The default number, we do not have any input on that at all. It's done by Matt, okayed by the school board, and just so you all know, there was legislation passed that allows the Budget Committee to work on the default if it's voted on by school district meeting. And as I have said previously, if anybody wants that, good luck to you. Be careful what you wish for. I think it's best to leave it with administration to do that default number and not make it a political football. Anything else, Matt?
Yeah, just to comment on the default budget, I mean, I remember when SB2 was first passed into law, we were all kind of feeling our way around, what is the default and how to calculate it. So I've been doing default budgets now for a good little bit over 18 years, so I've consulted with every attorney and Department of Revenue Administration, so I have a fairly good handle on what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable, and it's, something that, right now, the way the law is written, there's not really too much up to interpretation. It's pretty much spelled out for you, and you now have a form that's posted with the warrant. So it's pretty much of a cut and dry thing, but you do have to do a lot of data mining to get all the numbers where they should be. So just a comment as I make my way back into the gallery. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We are going into the work session. This is a work session on the warrant articles and the operating budget. And at this time, I'm going to ask that we vote on warrant Article 3 and warrant Article 5. Just as a reminder, because these are special warrant articles, it's not the operating budget, we vote to recommend the article or not recommend the article. We cannot change the article in any way, shape, or form. And should we not recommend the contract article, it will still go on the ballot and is not subject to the 10% rule of the district, or actually in state law. So even if we don't recommend it, it goes on, and if it gets passed, it does not become part of the 10% rule of what can be raised and appropriated by the voting public. So with that, would someone like to make a motion to recommend warrant Article 3? Oh, Bill Cummings and seconded by John Hanson. I would also like to point out that all of our votes will be roll call votes on all money, actually on anything we do, but on the many warrant articles in particular this evening. Do we have any discussion on this warrant article? Carol, you have anything you want to add?
No, I think I've said all I have.
Okay. Then I will call for a vote. I will ask our Secretary Extraordinaire, namely my lovely wife, to do the roll call vote.
Mr. Powell.
In favor.
Mr. Guagliumi.
In favor.
Mrs. Jacoby.
In favor.
Ms. Ortega.
In favor.
Mr. Hanson.
In favor.
Mr. Bobbitt.
In favor.
Mrs. Mooney.
Abstain.
Mr. Heinrich.
Yes.
Mr. Ilg.
In favor.
Mr. Cummings.
In favor.
Mrs. Lang.
In favor.
10-0-1.
The motion is to recommend 10 in favor, 0 opposed, with 1 abstention. We will now move on to warrant article number 5, which is the warrant article dealing with the $75,000, up to $75,000 to be put in the school district repair capital reserve fund. And that is coming out of this year's budget surplus, 10% or up to $75,000, whichever is less. Someone like to make a motion to recommend that? Made by Shelley Jacoby, seconded by John Hanson. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will do another roll call vote. You ready, Pat?
Mr. Ilg,
In favor.
Ms. Ortega,
In favor.
Mr. Cummings,
In favor.
Mrs. Jacoby,
In favor.
Mr. Powell,
In favor.
Mrs. Mr. Guagliumi,
In favor.
Mrs. Mooney,
Abstain.
Mr. Bobbitt,
In favor.
Mrs. Lang,
In favor.
Mr. Hanson,
In favor.
Mr. Heinrich,
Yes.
Ten zero one.
And that warrant article will be recommended a vote of 10 yes, 0 against, and 1 abstention.
Stan?
Yes, Davis.
I know we didn't talk about Article 6, but I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
Okay, go right ahead.
And kind of explain exactly what it is.
Okay.
Basically, the trustees of the trust funds is the same organization or the same group of 3 individuals that holds all the money for the county and the school district. They invest our investments, I guess is an easy way to put it. For instance, we have the Master Cola Fund, which was generously set up by Mr. Master Cola, the former grocer, and any monies that that are able to be expended from that have to be approved by these 3 individuals. Well, in running the investments, as Mr. Cummings can attest to, there are fees involved. And in the past, it has been practiced to take these fees out of the investments and any earnings instead of out of the general fund and having the voters or the district pay for it. This article doesn't change a thing. All this article does is just codify what has already been done as past practice and just says formally, this is how the investment fees are going to be taken care of. That's why there's no, it's not going to cost anything. That's why the budget committee is not being asked to give an opinion on it. So I just, in case anyone had any questions, I wanted to clear that up for you.
Appreciate that, Davis.
Dan, could I say something?
Go right ahead, Carol.
Yeah, obviously the Budget Committee has no say on this, so we're not voting on anything. But my comment would be, overall, I agree with the concept of the fees coming out of the fund. The only caveat I would throw out is I really think there should be transparency to everybody. I'm sure there is to the school board, but to the voters, to the Budget Committee, of what we're paying in fees, just, in the sake of total transparency.
Well, I think that would be something that Mr. Christensen would have to address with you.
Is it something the school board could take up with him?
We can ask for it.
Well, I guess I'd appreciate if you'd at least explore the idea. I mean, I realize we have no say on it, but I'm a great believer in transparency.
Understood.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay.
We're now going to come to the work session on the operating budget. I'm going to go through department by department and ask if there are any adjustments to be proposed. And if we don't have any adjustments, we move on to the next department until we come down to the end. So I'm going to start off with the elementary schools. Are there any adjustments to be proposed for the elementary schools? I don't see any hands going up, so we'll go to the upper elementary school. And Carol, if there's something you want, please chime in.
Yep, I'll yell if I need to.
Okay. I don't see any hands going up for that. Middle school. We're all satisfied with that. How about the high school? Okay. IT, library, and media services. Maintenance. Special services. Food service. And last but not least, district-wide. Any adjustments to district-wide? Any department I forgot? Seeing no hands or hearing no voices, I would assume that we are satisfied with the budget we were presented, along with the great news that Matt gave us earlier this evening. Therefore, I move that we recommend for the public hearing the amount of $72,283,299 as the recommended amount of the operating budget for the Merrimack School District for 2016 and 17. Seconded by Davis Powell. Plain and simple, this is to go to the public hearing. That's what we're voting on right now. And then after the public hearing, we will take a final vote on the operating budget. I personally think the school administration did an exemplary job, and while no one likes budget increases, it's a fact of life. And we have to take care of our buildings. We don't want them looking like Detroit. Anybody else have any other comments?
Dan?
Yes, Carol.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment in general that, there are times when we don't make any adjustments to the budget that some members of the public question whether we're doing our job, and I just want to comment that partly I think the fact we're not adjusting anything is a testament to both the administration and the school board doing an excellent job, and partly the fact that this whole roofing issue, had it gone the other way and, there had not been a drastic decrease in the cost of the roof, we might have been addressing an adjustment or not, depending on what the vote would have been. But it's not always whether we adjust the budget as to whether we've done our job. It's the fact that we've done our liaison assignments, we've looked at everything in depth, and in this case, as in many other cases, there's nothing to pick at. We agree with it, but that is not always the case.
Very well put. Thank you, Carol. Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to, on behalf of the school board, thank the budget committee for their time, the hours that you volunteered to put in to go over the budget. We appreciate it. 11 sets of eyes are better than the 5 sets of eyes that we have, and I certainly, for one, appreciate the in-depth questions that were asked and some things that were thought of and asked that I didn't even think of during the budget presentations here. So on behalf of the school board, thank you very much.
You're welcome. for a number of years ago, and I've said this before, we used to sit and nitpick about pencils in this committee. We had a big chart, be writing numbers down, starting at like $100,000 and working our way down. One day we stayed here till 20 minutes of 4 in the morning to settle a school district budget, and 56 pages of minutes, and it was almost verbatim. The school administration has come to know what the budget committee looks for and what, are of interest to them, and they also know what's appropriate and prudent, and they try to stay within that realm. And that's what we have to do, because that's what law we go by. And I think we've done a very good job. And if we don't have to sit and fight about a budget, so be it. That's good. Anybody have anything else? Seeing none. Mrs. Heinrich, would you please do the roll call vote?
Mrs. Jacoby.
In favor.
Mr. Cummings.
In favor.
Mr. Heinrich.
Yes.
Mr. Powell.
In favor.
Mr. Bobbitt.
In favor.
Ms. Mooney.
In favor.
Ms. Ortega.
In favor.
Mr. Ilg.
In favor.
Mr. Guagliumi.
In favor.
Mrs. Lang.
Was she? I was trying to figure out if she was saying my name. I couldn't quite catch it. In favor.
Mr. Hanson.
Yes.
Unanimous.
We have a unanimous 11-0-0 to bring the operating budget of $72,283,299 to the public hearing. First of all, thank you, everybody. In our public hearing, I will do that due diligence now, is next Tuesday evening, February 9th. We start off with a work session at 7 o'clock, and that is for the purpose of dealing with any petitioned warrant articles that have come in before the deadline, dealing with money. It'll also be the time when we will be approving the minutes for 2 meetings. We then recess that meeting by 7:30. At 7:30, the public hearing will be held, and then after the public hearing, we will have final budget actions and our final recommendation. And please note, this whole meeting will be held at the Mastrocola Elementary School all-purpose room. This room will be used for same-day voter registration because that's the day the New Hampshire primary is. So we're going to be over at the elementary school. We'll have plenty of parking because the school district will be closed, but the elementary school doors will be opened so we can get into the all-purpose room. So if you have your friends, you want to come and talk, give public input, that's the time to do it, and it starts at 7:30. Should we be snowed out, and I hate to use that 4-letter word, because last year we were snowed out a few times. The public hearing will take place on Thursday, February 11th, except it will be back here at the high school cafeteria. Does the superintendent or her lovely assistants have any comments they would like to present to the Budget Committee and the vast hordes of people watching this on television?
I would say we thank you for your service, especially the billing administration as well appreciates all the liaisons coming to the sites and doing due diligence, and we just appreciate the time that you spend with us. It's a learning experience for us.
Well, thank you, Madam Superintendent. At this time, we will have public participation. And again, everybody's designed as a blue seat. I will close public participation. We come to the old other topic. Does anybody have anything other than getting the heck out of here they want to bring up to the Budget Committee? Carol, are you all set?
I am fine.
All right, we're going to say goodnight.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you, Carol.
Yep, bye.
Seeing as how nobody has anything else, I would like to say thank you, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn. By Mr. Powell, seconded by Mrs. Jacoby. Not debatable. All in favor? Thank you all. It was unanimous. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday night at the public hearing and our meeting at the elementary school. Good night.
Previous plan is, it says 6 foot wide stone dust path.
That is the path that's the trail path, yes.
So if you take stone dust and put it up to a old bridge
Yes.
that's made of wood and is decaying and is very low, the stone dust is then going to be washed into the water.
Yeah, it may want to, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think if this walking trail was modified a bit, obviously, with a bridge staying, and maybe leave that, maybe even within the buffer zone.